So for this tutorial, you're going to learn how to write your thesis statements. So essentially what we did was we first identified the task, which is to evaluate. Then we identified the subject, which is technology has transformed our daily lives. And then we try to figure out whether or not the topics are present in this prompt, which they are. Communication work and information access are our topics. So we write this down here, communication work and information access. If there were two tasks and two subjects, that would make it difficult to identify our purpose. But in this instance, we only have the one task, the one subject. So it's pretty simple. You just have to do the technology has transformed our daily lives. When we combine it together to make purpose plus tasks, purpose plus topics, we end up with the following thesis. Technology has transformed our daily lives because it has impacted our communication work and information access. And now what you're going to do is you're going to take the thesis statement that was created, you're going to copy it, and you're simply going to go in and you're going to paste it in to your graphic organizer. We go down to the next essay, consider the role of education and personal development and argue its importance by determining its impact on one's social, emotional, and intellectual development. So this prompt has two tasks, consider and argue, and as a result, there's two subjects, the role of education and personal development and its importance. So what we need to do is figure out what is our purpose going to be. We don't know what our purpose is going to be because we haven't figured out what our topics are going to be. So we look at this prompt and we say, are our topics present? Yes, they are present, and they are present with social, emotional, and intellectual development. So now we know that that is referencing the argue its importance, so that becomes our primary subject. So then our purpose is education is important. When we combine it together with purpose plus topics, it ends up being education is important because it impacts social, emotional, and intellectual development. So now I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to put it into my thesis statement. We're going to follow the same logic with essay number 3. In this instance, you actually have to provide your own topics because the topics aren't present. So our tasks are assess and argue. Our subjects are the advantage of participating in team sports and why team sports are beneficial. We don't know what our 3 reasons are, so we brainstorm it. We come up with these 3 topics. We know that it's physical, mental, and social. Once we realize that we're going to be talking about the physical benefits, the mental benefits, and the social benefits, we can figure out what our primary subject is, and it's going to be why team sports are beneficial. Therefore, our purpose will be team sports are beneficial. When we use the thesis purpose plus topics, when we use that formula, we come up with team sports are beneficial because they positively impact physical, mental, and social health. We are going to copy that. We're going to go here to the thesis statement, and we are going to paste it. The next one is a similar situation, but in this situation, we need to pick a historical figure and we need to pick our topics. So reflect on a historical figure who's made a significant impact on the world. Write an essay that explains how this person has shaped society. So our first task is reflect. Our second task is write. Our first subject is on a historical figure who has made a significant impact on the world. Our second subject is how this person has shaped society. Now, in order for us to figure out which subject it is, we have to figure out what our 3 topics are going to be. Well, we don't have 3 topics, so instead we come up with 3 ways in which a person can shape society. And what we came up with were that it can change the beliefs of a society, it can change the legislation of a society, and it can change the economy of a society. We then worked backwards to pick our person, which is they're going to choose Martin Luther King Jr. And essentially we're able now to create our purpose because our topic suggests that the primary subject is how this person has shaped society. So then when we write our purpose, we name the person, Martin Luther King Jr. has shaped society, and then we have our 3 topics. So our thesis statement ends up being Martin Luther King Jr. has shaped society because he has impacted our beliefs, legislation, and economy. So now that this is our thesis statement, we copy it and we paste it. And we go on to our final. This one is similar to the other one where some of the information is left out. The first one is we identify our task, which is analyze. We identify our subject pretty quickly, a character in a separate piece that has experienced trauma. Now, what this prompt doesn't have is the name of the character, and it doesn't have the trauma responses. So we don't have our 3 topics. So what we do is we choose Jean Forrester, who's the main character, and in doing so, Because it's his story, we use him because we know that he's going to have the most trauma responses, which is going to result in writing the easiest essay possible. Then we identify 3 trauma responses, and then we combine it together to create purpose plus topics. So Gene Forster is a character in a separate piece that has experienced trauma. And then we're going to have because he agrees to things just to keep the peace, feels on guard all the time, and gives into reckless impulses. And this is the one time in which I would say it's okay to have wordy topics, because these were the titles that we gave the trauma responses in our actual discussion. So now I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it into my thesis statement. And now you are done with inserting the thesis statement.